Welcome back to the Disturbed Chronicles. My name's Cams and I'm glad you're here because today's video we're going to talk about Omar Mateen and how he created one of the biggest mass shootings in US history and within the LGBT community. On June 11th, 2016, the Pulse Nightclub in Orlando, Florida was hosting Latin Night, as they did every Saturday night. And this was the most popular gay nightclub in Orlando, Florida. And the club had over 300 people inside of it at the time. And it was a very diverse crowd. There was both gay and straight, ages 18 to 50 years old. And on June 12th, around 2 a.m., during last call for drinks, Omar Mateen entered the Pulse nightclub with 2 weapons and started shooting. Dozens of people were injured and killed by direct fire and by ricochets. An off-duty police officer named Adam Gruller, also working as a security guard that night, engaged in a shootout with Omar Mateen. Adam saw Omar shooting people, but the only weapon that Adam had was a handgun, and he knew it was a huge disadvantage to Omar's rifle. He called for assistance and took cover while firing shots at Omar. Omar went to a different side of the club to try and avoid Adam, and when the shots were initially fired, chaos broke out and everybody started to panic, trampling over each other, trying to escape. It's said that many people got on the floor to try and play dead in hopes to save themselves from Omar. But Omar didn't stop to check to see if these people were dead or not. He shot at the people that were on the ground anyways. At first, people thought that they were fireworks instead of gunshots, but a bouncer at the club that night was also a former Marine Corps veteran, instantly knew that they were high-caliber gunshots. He jumped over a locked door where he found dozens of people hiding in fear, and the veteran opened a latched door which allowed about 70 people to escape with their lives. Let's all give a shout out to Imran Yusuf for saving all of these people, and my apologies if I'm saying your name wrong. Many people were confused in the chaos of the crowded nightclub and the loud music. A woman reportedly hid in the bathroom, covering herself with bodies. Omar fired 16 shots into the bathroom without entering, and it killed several people, wounding several people as well. At this point, Omar had unloaded about 200 rounds and only stopped for a moment to reload. And just a few minutes after the shooting began, the club's Facebook page released a status telling everybody to get out and to keep running. Around 2:30, Omar made one of several calls to 911 and mentioned other terrorist attacks like the Boston Marathon bombers during these calls. Omar held 30 hostages, and one of these hostages was shot twice by Omar. According to a hostage, he overheard Omar saying, "I don't have a problem with black people, and I won't stop shooting until America stops the bombings on my country." Within the last hour, at least 100 police officers were dispatched to the nightclub, including 80 firemen, along with emergency medical. Shortly after, SWAT arrived and they took over due to the police having a lack of tactical gear. They didn't storm the nightclub because Omar was holding hostages inside the bathroom and he barricaded himself inside. They had many people lying on the floor, and at one point the officers just asked if the people that were alive would raise their hand so that they would know who to help first. At this point, it's just after 2:30 a.m. and the police have evacuated most of the nightclub, except for the people hiding inside of the dressing rooms and the hostages Omar was holding. Now it's a standoff between police officers and Omar reportedly called News 13 in Orlando and stated that he was the shooter. He claimed his motive was because of the bombings in Iraq led by the US. Within the next hour, Omar spoke with negotiators claiming to have explosives on him and inside of a vehicle parked in the parking lot. Omar threatened to strap bomb vests to 4 hostages and place them around the corners of the nightclub. During the time of the standoff, Omar searched on his phone looking up words like Pulse, Orlando, and shooting. He also scrolled on Facebook, and he called a friend and texted his wife. While Omar was busy doing that, the police had a tactical robot enter the room to discreetly speak with the hostages. Just before 4 a.m., the Orlando Police Department put out a warning on Twitter for everybody to stay away from the area. Around 4:30 a.m., several police officers freed a bunch of hostages by removing an AC unit that was found inside of one of the dressing rooms. Just before 5 a.m., SWAT tried to use a controlled bomb on the exterior wall in an attempt to breach the bathroom where the hostages were being held. This was unsuccessful in making a large enough hole for the hostages to get out. And during this time, it's reported that Omar shot 2 hostages, killing them both. But just a few minutes after this, a policeman drove a bear claw armored vehicle through the bathroom wall, successfully freeing the hostages. All of the hostages started to emerge from the wall while Omar was distracted by a flashbang thrown by the police officers. Omar then engaged the police officers with his rifle, firing shots and actually injuring one of the officers. This officer would make a full recovery though. And Omar was shot 8 times by police during the shootout, and after nearly 4 hours, he was pronounced dead just before 6 a.m. During the shooting, Omar killed 49 people and injured 53. In total, there was over 200 gunshot wounds inflicted, and most of the victims were Latino, considering that the club was hosting Latin Night. This was labeled the deadliest mass shooting in history until 2017's Las Vegas shooting. Omar was 29 years old, married, and he had a 3-year-old son. Reportedly, his wife knew what Omar was planning, and she even scouted out areas for Omar. So I have a clip that actually talks about Omar's wife and the knowledge that she had.
New developments in the Pulse nightclub shooting in Orlando as well this morning. The wife of gunman Omar Mateen is in federal custody after being arrested by the FBI in connection with that massacre. NBC's Kerry Sanders has more on that. Hi, Kerry. Good morning.
Well, good morning, Matt. Since that massacre 7 months ago here at the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, there's been one lingering question. Did the gunman act alone? This morning, in a federal courtroom in California, they'll unseal an indictment that says the gunman's wife knew what was about to happen.
This is the first video of the arrest of Noor Salman, widow of Orlando nightclub shooter Omar Mateen. A relative telling NBC News agents took her into custody in the early morning raid at her home near San Francisco. She has been charged with aiding and abetting the terrorist attack and obstruction of justice, according to federal officials.
This is a matter that we continue to take very seriously. It was always our goal, and we said from the beginning we were going to look at every aspect of this case.
Oh my God. The night Mateen carried out his deadly attack at the Pulse nightclub, killing 49 people and wounding dozens more, Salman texted her husband, "Where are you?" He replies, "Do you see what's happening?" "No," she says. He answers, "I love you, babe." The next day, I asked Mateen's father what Salman told him.
Everybody is shocked, especially his wife. She cannot talk even. She's very sad.
But law enforcement officials told NBC News she became a person of interest after telling officials she had been with her husband when he bought ammunition at Walmart and drove with him past the club at least once before the attack. Salman later told the New York Times, "I was unaware of everything." This morning, the family is saying they're shocked and surprised at Salman's arrest because they've been cooperating with law enforcement. Salman's attorney calling her innocent, writing in a statement, "Noor Salman had no foreknowledge, nor could she predict what Omar Mateen intended to do that tragic night. We believe that it is misguided and wrong to prosecute her." Pulse survivor Chris Hansen says Salman's arrest doesn't change much for him.
Does it make anybody feel any better? I'm not really sure.
Noor Salman is expected to be extradited back here to Florida to stand trial.
Omar's family were immigrants and they became citizens in 1980. They were from New York, but they moved to Florida in the St. Lucie County area in the 90s. Omar actually attended the Mariposa Elementary School in Port St. Lucie, Florida, which is crazy because I actually attended that same elementary school. Not at the same time, but I grew up in the Port St. Lucie area and I've actually never heard of this story before. It's said that Omar tried to pursue a job in law enforcement, but was unsuccessful. He was investigated 3 years before the shooting in 2013 and again in 2014. The police had suspected him to be affiliated with other terrorist organizations. And according to a former classmate, Omar threatened to shoot his classmates because his burger touched pork. Several people have said that they saw Omar at the Pulse nightclub and he was a regular there. Some even considered Omar to possibly be gay, and they used words to describe him like belligerent and racist and toxic. Omar's motive for the attack isn't 100% clear since he died at the scene and was never able to be interrogated, but it's suspected based off of Omar's comments to the police that this was considered a terrorist attack. Now, reportedly, Omar didn't know that the Pulse nightclub was a gay club, so it's not considered a hate crime. 11 days after the attack, the owner of the Pulse nightclub hosted a Latin night street party in which over 1,000 people attended. Although most of the people who attended said it wasn't a celebration, but it was exactly what they needed after what happened the other night. This is an unbelievable story, you guys. These people were dancing and having a great night, hanging out with their friends, and it just came to such a quick, tragic, unexpected end for some of them. And none of these victims deserved that. And I think we can all be grateful that Omar was put down that night. And there's nothing you can really do to prepare yourself for something like this, but always stay alert and be aware of your surroundings. Pay attention because it's 2015 and you never know when you could find yourself in a similar situation. So that's what I have for you guys today. And if you enjoyed this video, make sure you like, you comment, and you subscribe, and hopefully I'll see you on the next disturbing video.